What's up, everyone? I am Jamie with Three Little Goats Homestead, and today we are in my office because we are going to be making some stuff to get ready for cold and flu season. Now, I had somebody request this video in a video a few weeks ago that I posted that they wanted to see how I make my fire cider. I don't make my fire cider with the same traditional ingredients as other people. I just like to mix it up a little bit, and I find this is what works best for our family. So we're going to do a fire cider as well as an elderberry tincture today. So let's get started. So fire ciders are pretty much straightforward. You want to use some really good ingredients that are going to help boost your immune system. So for this recipe, I am using red onions, I am using orange, I am using some ginger, garlic, jalapenos, and then in this container I have turmeric because I couldn't find any turmeric root in my area. I'm also using cat's claw bark as well as echinacea, and then I'm also going to be using some dried elderberries. So like I said, it's pretty straightforward. You're also going to need some apple cider vinegar with the mother, and then honey if you so choose. So first thing we're going to do is get all of our ingredients in, and I will have a blog post with all of the exact measurements that I use if you're interested in that. And I always have a ton of different information on the website as far as for herbs and oils and things like that. So if you haven't checked that out, it'll be linked down below. So I've got all of that goodness in there. We're going to get our onions put in. Now, a lot of people will use horseradish as well. I don't have any horseradish, as well as lemons. Our store had 0 lemons today, so we are omitting the lemons as well, but you can add those in if you so choose. And then ginger, garlic, and then nice and spicy jalapenos. And I've got some elderberries on my cutting board that I'm just going to scrape in there as well. Alright, then we're going to just shake up our apple cider vinegar. We're going to fill this up. Now I'll top this off when I go into the house. I just apparently didn't bring enough vinegar out with me. So I'm going to cap this. If you're using a metal lid, be sure to put a piece of parchment paper in between your jar and your lid so your lid doesn't rust. I'm using just a plastic one so I can use that. I'm just going to give this a good shake. And we're done with our fire cider. We're just going to make sure that we keep an eye on it and shake it every once in a while, and it'll be good to go in a few weeks. I also forgot to add in the honey. Honey is optional. I don't always put honey in, and my honey's starting to crystallize a little bit, so I have to pump it in there a little bit. And the jalapenos, I literally just pulled out of the garden, and whew, they smell spicy. Alright, now we're going to put our lid on. We're going to give it a good shake. So after about 4 to 6 weeks of this sitting, it will be ready to strain out. And when I strain it, I will just strain it into another clean mason jar, and it will store in the fridge for a good few months. Alright, since now our fire cider is done, we're going to work on some tinctures. Now I'm going to be doing an elderberry tincture, and I'm going to be doing a, mullein tincture. So we harvested the mullein from our property. I have a video on that from a few weeks ago, and I just dried it, and now we're ready to do something with it. I do usually just use it as a tea, but with cold and flu season, I like to have it as a tincture as well. You could technically even just smoke the mullein, but I don't really want to do that. So this is how I use it. Now, the elderberry I like doing as a tincture because it does pull out different properties than a vinegar or acidic tincture does. And I will have a whole blog post about the difference between like an acidic tincture, which we use apple cider vinegar versus a tincture where we use alcohol. So be sure to check that out in the description if you're interested in that. And as you can tell, there are some differences in the weight and texture of these. So when making a tincture, there are some pretty standard rules of ratios that you can use. Each herb, bark, berry all have their own ratios, but a good rule of thumb is barks and roots are usually a 10-to-1 ratio for your plant versus your alcohol, and herbs and flowers are usually around a 5-to-1 ratio. So you want a 1 to 5 ratio. 1 part herb to 5 parts alcohol. And then your roots and your barks are 1 part root bark versus 10 parts alcohol. I hope that makes sense. It'll be in the description box. So all I have is these things in my mason jar. We're going to go ahead and just add in I'm going to put the lid on. Again, if you're using a metal lid, be sure to place a piece of parchment paper between your lid and your jar. I'm going to give that a stir. Mix up. And now I can add a little bit more of each without hopefully making a giant mess. So again, with these guys, we're going to let them sit in a cool, dark room. You want to shake them every day or whenever you remember is generally my rule of thumb. And then in about 4 to 6 weeks, they will be ready to strain and bottle. I store my tinctures in an amber glass bottle with a little dropper. I will link the ones that I prefer down in the description box if you're interested in those. But that is pretty much it for these guys as well. Alright y'all, so that is what I've got for you guys today. If you have any suggestions on what else you want to see as far as herbs and oils and things like that go, be sure to leave them down in the comments down below. And be sure to check out the blog post. Like I said, I always have a ton of information over there on the blog as well. So be sure to check that out. And if you haven't already, of course, hit the subscribe button. We put out new videos every single week. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.